Welcome back to Straight Facts. It's Monday morning, an epic weekend of Premier League football behind us. Liverpool in a major crisis. Arsenal top and favourites, clear favourites, according to the bookmakers this morning. Chelsea fight back after disappointing form to, I know it was only 2-1, but the way they won, they blew Liverpool away, broke their hearts late on. Spurs win again, back to winning ways. Mohamed Kudus with an absolute masterclass. United won a game. Yes, stop the press. Man United won a game. Third on the bounce at home. We'll get into that a little bit later. So we're delving into all of that on the show today. Also asking a big question. Are Manchester City in the title race? Did they get written off a little bit too early? I'm joined, as you can see, by KJ, who's back with us after, I know he was on last night, but I wasn't there, after a little trip away with his beautiful lady wife this week. So welcome back to work and on the show, KJ. And Jords is here, a.k.a. Durag Diaries. Tottenham with another win. It must be in a good space today.
Yeah, man. You guys know there's nothing better than getting your win first one of the week, especially 12:30, knocked out of the bag. And I was just watching all the games, sit back. I even fell asleep during the Arsenal game. I was that comfy. I was like, yeah, man, I've got my 3 points. Don't even worry. Like, so no, I'm good.
Hey, man, my FPL, hey, fam, my FPL was banging. Porro come through, Kudus come through. You know what I'm saying? Semenyo. All right, listen. People used to remember Terry on this show. We had Mo Sam laugh at me for wanting Semenyo. Oh, he can't play striker. Oh, why would you want him? Listen, that guy, man, best player in the Premier League right now, outside of Haaland, absolutely killing it. And he,
yeah, I'm glad you threw that. I'm glad you threw that in, actually, because I actually have some stats. I think I've got some graphics for that today. By the way, thank you, Luke, for encouraging everybody to get the like button, hit like, share, subscribe, hype the channel up as well. The Football Terrace is nearly going to not be qualified for hype soon because we're going to be at 500k, and you can't get hypes unless you're at 500k. So once you hit 500k, you can't get it. So keep hyping until we get to that point as well. But yeah, some of the stats, actually, I saw this of Erling Haaland's goals. Oh, no, I don't have graphics for that. I thought I did. Sorry. But just the goals that he's been scoring, Jamie Carragher said it last night. And I don't agree with a lot of what he said, but I do think he's the best goal scorer we've ever had or ever seen in English football. Just the best goal. Maybe not the best striker. You know, people are he's not the best technical footballer. I don't care. He's just the best goal scorer we've had play in this country. I actually think he's the best goal scorer for his age Europe has ever produced. I just don't think there's ever been anybody better at scoring goals. I know Ronaldo's got all those goals, and I love Cristiano, but Ronaldo didn't start scoring regularly till he was this age. Like Haaland's at 20. I don't think any European football player has ever scored this many goals by the time he's 24, coupled with winning what he's won, the games. The only thing he doesn't have is a goal in a final for City, but he's got goals in finals for Dortmund. He's sickening. He's so good. He's so good. I can't hate him. Does that make sense? I despise that he does it for City, but he's ridiculous, man. All right. And we've had some great goal scorers in this country. You know, Harry Kane as an example, Thierry Henry, all these guys. He's just, and maybe Kane, if he weren't at Spurs, maybe if Kane was at one of the better teams, he'd have more goals here. You see what you're doing in Germany. Like the goal return is ridiculous. Yeah, but that's why I told Kane, I had a campaign like 6 years ago, like free Harry Kane, get him out of Tottenham. And it was never, and if you guys go back and watch the content, it was never about slagging Tottenham off. It was just, I think Harry Kane can score 30, 40, 50% more goals. He just needs to be in a better team. And yeah, he's crazy, Erling Haaland. He really, really is. Where to start today? Where do we start today? Because obviously there's a lot to go through. Should we get, what we'll do? We'll get some of the other stuff out of the way early. I want to ask you, Jords, because we spoke last week. A few Tottenham fans last week starting to get a bit funny with Thomas Frank. Fossil, I saw expressions, love and respect, bro, but like moaning about fossil football. I saw Deji go in on him. Do you feel, you come back and got a win, do you feel like there might be some early people getting expectations above their station a little bit too early because the start was really, really good? Are you impressed with what Thomas Frank has done so far?
More than impressed. More than impressed. I'm more than happy with everything that I've seen. I think the football hasn't been amazing every single game, but 3 months into your tenure, you don't expect to see the finished product of football. You'd expect that 12 to 18 months in the tenure. So I'm very calm. I know that because people have seen Ange and Jose have an amazing start in 10 games and then fall off, I'm like, this is a lot better for us that we have a couple losses, we have a couple draws. We're not too, elated with the results because we know how that comes for us. So, yeah, I think a lot of Spurs fans have jumped the gun a bit too soon off the back of a few games where we was a bit shaky. And it's just like, let's just address the obvious. He's missing a few players. He's trying to make it work with the players he got. We saw on the weekend he tried a few new things out and it worked for us. We got the win. We was defensively resolute yet again. Going forward, we was a little bit better. Tough away, cold night up, cold morning up north. It was one of those types of performances, and you can't really complain. Like you said, I've seen a couple fans call out Thomas Frank, say the football's not been good, the football's this, but this is where people get too focused on what is actually going on the pitch with regards to the football. It's like you've seen Ange do so supposedly attacking football, but we conceded way more goals doing that. Then we're seeing Frank do defensive football, but we're the second highest goal scorers in the Premier League this season. So like it's just like people they lack consistency of what they say, because for me it's like if you went through the whole season and said Spurs have lost less games than Liverpool, we've lost one game in 10 this season. Lost one. So he started off the season pretty much flawless, barring one game that Bournemouth won. And in the other games that we drew, we showed resilience to come back from behind every time. What's the problem? For me, that shows the good side of mentality. We've come back twice from 2-0 down in games, something that we never done under Ange for a long time. And always, we haven't conceded no goals in the last 15 minutes of games. Shows me again that we're resilient and we know how to see out games. And then we're scoring goals. We're not attacking or the fluidity at the top isn't the best, but it's getting there. You're seeing Kudus steadily be maybe one of the best wingers in the league with his performances, and now getting a goal, assists already up there. He's got 4 assists for the season. So like, it's working for me. It's the start of a. I know they hate to hear it, but you have to trust the process. You do. When you're the funniest thing is, KJ, like,
weren't you laughing at them, man?
No, but KJ, if we was a year in, 2 years in, cool. Saying trust the process is funny, but 10 games in, what more can you do than trust the process? Like, that's all you can do, really. Let's be honest, and that's why I think Spurs fans are just lacking that. I don't know, like just the basic like the simplicities of football is at least give the manager time to implement his style, his play, and then judge him when he has his best team. So we currently know the floor of the team. We've seen a few bad performances with some of these players. Can we know the ceiling? No, we won't know the ceiling until he has Kulusevski, Dominic Solanke, and Kolomwani available. So, yeah, I'm fine.
Okay, Jim.
Yeah, I think we're just in this time where we've seen it. We've seen it with Spurs. We always see it with Man United for different reasons. We've seen it with Liverpool now. We saw it with Newcastle. I think last year, 2 years ago, when they had an injury crisis. As soon as 2 games go bad, that's it. It's over. Sack the manager. He's crap. And I don't know why, but fans are in this world of everything needs to be a meltdown. 2 games go, 3 games go, and nothing goes your way, or you don't get the results that you want. Meltdown, start again, scrap it all. It's all rubbish. When really and truly, if you got to remember what Spurs were last season, they finished 17th, 17th in the league, and the way they were conceding goals, the way that they were just playing on so open, it was a disgrace. It was a disgrace, and that's why, even though Ange won the Europa League, he had to be sacked because the league performance wasn't good enough. Thomas Frank has come in, and I thought Spurs would be similar to Man United, where they're stuttering, they have a performance here but not a performance there, and it's inconsistent. I thought they would finish around 9th, 8th, maybe 7th around that point. The way that they're playing, the way that that Frank's come in and got them to be solid, I've just to say that I'm wrong, because these guys are showing that they're a capable football team. They're a competent football team, and that's what Spurs needed. They needed just competency, because Ange was doing it foolishness for 2 years. Like we saw him in the first year. Yes, he finished 6th or 5th or whatever, but we saw foolishness in his time in his first season as well. Thomas Frank has come in. He's worked with what he's got. He is a pragmatic manager in terms of he will adjust to what is opposition. Some weeks will be defensive. Some weeks will be open. Some weeks will be attacking. that's just the way it is. So Spurs fans, I don't think you should expect a really expansive style of play because that's not the manager you have. But what you can expect is tactical fluidity and results. And you've been getting that. You've lost one game in the Premier League this season, and that's against a Bournemouth team that are flying right now. So listen, Spurs fans need to just chill, man. Like, you've got a good manager and a good team.
One game in all comps. You know, I know they lost on penalties to PSG, but they drew the game. Best team in the world at that point. Champions League won 1-1 and drew 1, and yet there have been some poor performances. But I absolutely agree. And I think the first 3 or 4 games of the season, and this is why when it comes to United maybe getting a new manager, one part of the conversation I don't like is if you get a new manager bounce, it's like scrambling an egg, and then the problem is you can't unscramble it and can't put it back in the shell. Once it's done, it's done. Is people go, oh, maybe we were so much better than I thought we were. Look at our first 3 or 4 games, and then leveling out happens. And you do have a good squad, but you don't have one of the best 3, 4, maybe not even the best 5 or 6 squads in the league when everybody's fit and firing. You've got a good squad, but I think it's between 6th and 9th. It's in best squad in the league, somewhere in that category. And that's where you're probably going to finish this season. You're above that right now. You're in the Champions League spot. I think Spurs fans should be very, very happy, but also understand that there's still so many areas to improve on across your team. And you've seen that when you've added Basuma has come out and Polinia has come in. You've seen that particular department of your team go up a level. You've seen Mohamed Kudus come into your side and it's gone up a level. You're missing Son. You're missing what he had for you in his pomp. And I would imagine Kudus on one side and Son in his pomp on the left-hand side. Very likely that you've scored a few more goals this season and maybe even picked up a few more wins, but that will come with time. And I love the fact, and Rob actually here in the comment section, one of our moderators, and it was a member, he's not anymore. Oh, Rob, what happened? He says, hearing Spurs fans say trust the process is wild when others have been criticized for using it. The issue is this, everybody hates the phrase trust the process when they don't see it or believe in it. It's one of those things. You see it with religion, don't you? You're someone who doesn't believe in religion. Hear somebody preach about it, they seem to get really angry. It's like, well, have you noticed how the Christian man preaching isn't angry at you for not believing? There's always something in that for me. I don't quite know what it is. It's like I don't see it, so therefore shut up saying it. And I do think Spurs fans should be trusting Thomas Frank. And I do think they've even got rid of Daniel Levy. And I know that there's a few different rumors about that, but I think they've got rid of him because they've realized you've done a great job business-wise, but actually some of your decision-making on managers in, managers out has been awful. And at the end of the day, I think Spurs have started this campaign very, very well. And I think their fans should be quietly confident of having a good season. And then it's about adding to the squad, keeping your better players, and giving Thomas Frank the support he needs. I think he's absolutely perfect. And this weekend was a good example. It was a tough game away at Leeds. And Leeds, like Sunderland, I know they're newly promoted, but they've started this season very well when you look at the games they've won and their performances. And I thought Spurs adapted well in the second half and nullified Leeds to almost. In the first half, Leeds had chances. Second half, they didn't do anything. And that was because Thomas Frank said, right, these are our holes. These are our problems. Let's shore ourselves up here. And he did a good job. And will it go down in the memory of Tottenham? Will it be a DVD? No. Will it be a game that you remember at the end of the season? No. But that's actually a good thing. It's kind of nice sometimes to not have games that are on a knife edge and overly memorable. It's nice to just win a game comfortably, put your feet up and enjoy the rest of the weekend. So yeah, I thought Spurs did very, very well. Viewers, give us your thoughts, give us your opinions on that in the comments section below. We've got sections still coming on Arsenal, Chelsea, City as well, actually. So make sure you're staying with us. If you're watching on YouTube, give us a retweet or repost, as Elon Musk calls it now. We'll be live over there for a period. We'll be going right across to YouTube exclusively later on. So if you want to join us for the whole show, come across now to YouTube. The link's in the post. Come and join us over here and join in the conversation as well. If you're watching on YouTube, like, share, and subscribe. KJ, Man United at the weekend. We got a win. And there's obviously stats that come with that. Oh, you only ever beat newly promoted teams or teams with 10 men. It was we only beat teams that we also got penalties against as well. That went at the weekend because we didn't get a penalty. That's a bad stat. A good stat. It's only the first time in the better part of 3 years that we've won 3 league games on the bounce at home in the Premier League, which shows for a long time how inconsistent that we have been. But what did you make of Man United this weekend overall? Now that you've had time to reflect and because our games are always stressful for us, but you've calmed down. Looking back with hindsight, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, so I just want to say I'm in this weird spot with Man United where, like, we've got a win, and I'm happy we got a win, but like it doesn't infuse me to like go on and say I believe in X, Y, and Z. You know, I'm just taking it game by game. I'm just watching games to analyze what we're doing, and then we can speak about it on here. So overall, the win is good. You're not going to see me say things like, "Oh, we're back," and Amarim's going to go and win 16 games, and I don't know what's going to happen next week. Or at least we've got Liverpool next. We already know where I'm going with that, so I'm not even going to go there. But for this game, I was pleased. I was happy. I was happy with some of the things I saw. Some of the things in game tactically was good from Amarim and good from the team. I've been really impressed with Lamens, like his first game, and just the simple things that we haven't had this for like 2 years. Claiming the ball when it's in the air, not flapping at things, taking command of the box and making saves. Like we had that shot from Xhaka, which if that's Onana or Bayindir, it's going in because it's flapping. They're flapping at it. They can't keep it out. That one-on-one with I think it's Talby, the young guy. If that's Onana, if that's Bayindir, they don't rush out. They don't close that small distance. They don't make their body big, and they probably get mixed. You know what I mean? Like, and Lamens just being there, looking confident, made me happy. Šeško, good performance, showing the fundamentals of a striker that we've been missing again for 2 years. So these are the small things I see at Man United. I'm like, okay, cool. We've got little things we can say, okay, these are good. Now, how do we build on that? You know what, Terry, I'm not his biggest fan. If I could have sold him in the summer, I would. Heck, if I could sell him next summer, I still would. But Mason Mount probably had one of the best performances he's ever had in Manchester United shirt, especially in the Premier League, because we haven't seen much of him. But he's starting to come into his own slowly this season. He has been quietly impressive in what he's been doing this season. So as a performance, we did well. Now, there's things that we need to improve on, like attacking, transitions, taking advantage of advantageous positions. And Bumo messing up passes, Bruno messing up passes, Ahmad messing up passes, everyone messing up passes, Dalot, Casemiro, everyone messing up passes. We need to find a way to get that going because we are literally one or two passes going through on goal, but yet we can't execute them. And that's a big worry because as much as we scored 2 early goals against Sunderland, against someone like Liverpool, you may not get that many opportunities to have such counterattacks, such space and time in transition. So we need to make sure that we can get that down because we've got good finishers. Šeško scored a beautiful poacher's goal. You know, Mbeumo can score goals. You know, Cunha can score goals. Bruno can score goals. So we've got players who can put the ball in the back of the net. But our biggest problem so far is even getting us into that position where we can actually have more than 2-3 clear shots on target. So yeah, like overall, we've got some work to do, but a win is a win. We take off the home hoodoo in terms of not being able to win at home because we went for a poor period last season at doing that. And we'll see what happens after the international break. Maybe we can put a performance in against Liverpool, get a result there, and then it's Brighton at home. And you know, Brighton have been just a terrible team for us to face the last few years. So we need to see some kind of building, and that's why I'm stuck in this position where I can't get too excited because it could collapse in like 2-3 games anyway.
Yeah, so. I get you on that. I think getting carried away is a little bit too much. That being said, the Brentford game was awful, and I had big arguments with Man United fans last week. Went, no, Terry, that Brentford game was exactly the same as all the other performances this year. For me, I could say that it's a difference of opinion. What I lean more towards is you're lying. You are absolutely lying if you think that Brentford game was the same as the Arsenal performance. It's completely night and day performance-wise, and performances matter. The difference this weekend, we changed a few things up, and we scored some early goals. And one thing I stand on, and it's not about defending Amarim or criticizing players more, in quite a few of our other games. We'd have scored some good chances that we had. And like Mason Mount's goal, great first touch and finish. But I'm actually getting a little bit frustrated at football fans. I went, yeah, but where were the gilt edge? The ones that are harder to miss than score. You do realize that even when you look at teams that create the most in a year, you're out there, it's still only averaging like 1.8 of those per game, like the best teams in the league. You have to score goals that are what my generation would call half chances. Mohamed Kudus goal at the weekend, half chance, but you're a good player, so you finish it. Yes, Esteval's winner was, you could argue that, it's still difficult from the angle he was at, but it is more of a tap in. But if you look, for instance, at the opening goal from Caicedo, you need that. You actually go through loads of games this weekend. Look how many of those goals were absolute sitters versus how many were half chances or screamers or wonder goals. There's a good mixture. You saw Bruno Guimaraes had to score an absolute weldy to get Newcastle ahead. You need players to do these things at times. And I don't think as football fans we're asking too much, demanding that we're doing this at least every few games, maybe not every shot from every game going in. So there's that. But my feet are firmly on the ground, as you say. I was happy with certain elements, still not happy with the way we attacked in the second half. We messed up so many opportunities to score more goals. And I feel if the team could have a couple of matches where we weren't stressed for the last 15 minutes, I think that would help us grow. Like, it'd be nice to finish a game and the first thing the players feel isn't relief. And that felt good. We won well, but look, we won, and getting the points is the most important thing because the next game's Liverpool, and we'll be getting into Liverpool soon on the show. George, when you look at United, I don't know how much of the game you watched on Saturday, but what do you think? I mean, do you think it does a lot to relieve the pressure over the international break that we go into it on the back of a win, or do you still think there should be pressure from the fans on Amorim to maybe be removed, even though we just won this game?
That's what I was gonna say to you, because I was like, when you say you win, did you really win? Because I don't know, when we spoke a few weeks ago, we were both of the thought that like maybe this international break might be the best period for change, because obviously now you got 2 weeks, you can actually go out there, interview, manage all, because we know Man United's worst thing is they never prepare. They fail to prepare, so they prepare to fail. That's the biggest thing in Man United every single time. And we're there in a scenario right now where you could go out there and, earmark managers. Like, you got a now period where you can actually interview people, see if there is someone for the job. Now, I'm not saying that, obviously, like to answer your question directly, this is definitely going to give you guys some confidence going into that international break. You needed this win, with it being at home, with it being against a newly promoted side. And let's have it right, it's against not like a Leeds or Burnley. You're up against Sunderland, who have a really, really good start to the season. So it's a good win when you look at it in that sense. But like you say, you're going to come back from that international break, and we already know what's going to happen. You're going up against a Liverpool team who is now even more hungry. They're starving for a win. They're coming out to you guys and taking all their frustration and anger because they haven't won a game, because by that time, it might have been a month. It's probably been like nearly a month since they've last won a game. They're taking all that anger and frustration out on you guys. So you guys are probably going to be like a statement result, as it has been in the past. Salah comes back, he scores 2. It's like a 3-4-1. And everyone's like, oh, Liverpool are back, but Manchester United are back. And then you're starting to look at the manager funny again and saying, we should have made, and that's what's going to come out as Man United fans saying, we should have made this decision in the last 2 weeks. We had 2 weeks to make a decision and we failed yet again.
Yeah.
I feel like Man United are in a very tough position.
No, I agree. I agree with you. I agree with you in the sense of this whole one game to save yourself nonsense. This is what I'm pushing back against. And football, the Man United, my issue with a lot of United fans in the space is they're more focused on who they want and who they don't want, as opposed to looking at the decision making that's key. Anyone who's hanging on by a thread, they're like one little mistake, you're gone. You might as well just get rid of that person, because he's going to make mistakes. Beating Liverpool away was something we rarely did in our pomp. So I'm waiting for the meltdown after that. And why didn't we move him on? If we are really considering moving him on, it may actually show a different level of mentality board-wise if we still do it. You won, but you're still being moved on. The other side of that argument, and I understand where we won the game, Terry. What if we do beat Liverpool? And people need to let me get to the end of my next couple of sentences before they react. Liverpool's current weaknesses, Man United have the ability to exploit, because that is where we create most of our opportunities in that space behind the midfield where the fullbacks vacate the area. With the way we play, we should be able to create lots of good chances at Anfield. But, and I've got to get the but in quickly, because people are already going, I can't believe he thinks they're going to beat Liverpool. I don't, because I don't believe we've got the mentality and the mental capability, concentration to be able to go to Anfield, handle that crowd, first game back after the international break, and get it done. So there is an element of me that looks at Liverpool's weaknesses and thinks, oh, we could get some good chances there. If we could be hard to break down and beat, as we typically are against a lot of the sort of top six, big six teams, and we could exploit that counter, there's an opportunity there and maybe confidence grows. But I don't have too much. So I am in this weird space like KJ where I was happy with parts of the performance, always happy with the win, but I feel a little bit like I'm in purgatory. I don't know what this means for our future. We're always one defeat away from absolute meltdown. The media are saying that the media doing that weird thing. United are putting together a shortlist, but they have no plans of sacking the manager. Well, we know you do. That's why you're putting together a shortlist. So yeah, listen, I'm just happy with the win, if I'm being honest with you. And my view is that we'll touch on the games and we'll touch on news stories that come out, but I don't personally think he's going to get sacked this international break. So there's an element of people can ask whether that's right or wrong, but there's very little point talking about other managers. And I did think what was interesting is as soon as Oliver Glasner gets his biggest link to Man United, he loses. That's why I tweeted Glasner out last night. Some people didn't see the sarcasm in it. I thought it was funny how he spends a whole week being linked to Man United, well, from Thursday to Sunday, and loses. I was like, wow, the Man United effect in full flow.
My biggest concern is that we've used up our 1 win a month for October. So that's my only biggest concern. Like, that we've got our win, we've got Liverpool, we've got Brighton, and then funny enough, actually no, wait, I think we play Nottingham Forest on the 1st of November. So yeah, the next 2 games of October are Liverpool and Brighton. So I don't expect much for the rest of October, which is sad, but that's the position we're in.
Well, Baz here says, if we're always 1 game away from a meltdown, the club should ignore the fans completely. I do understand that for to a degree. I mean, if you're in a relationship where all it takes is for you to put a mug down without a coaster and there's a massive fight, you should probably ignore that and get the hell out of there, right? You don't take that person too seriously, because that's it's not the coaster isn't the problem. There's another issue there you got to find. But they should ignore the fans in that regard, Baz, but they've got to make the right decision. So if we give Amorim another 2 or 3 or 4 months and we don't improve, we don't turn a corner, we don't start winning more, then it becomes hard to say you shouldn't listen to the fans because their decision-making was wrong. And so far, when it comes to managers, Ineos have done a bad job. They shouldn't have kept Ten Hag. They probably shouldn't have brought Amorim in mid-season, because I think that's maybe hinders a little bit more. There's no grace time for him because of that period that he had. If they then get rid of him because they let him stay longer now and it doesn't work, although it's only 2 managers, you can see 2 or 3, there's 3 or 4 big decisions made in that period that have completely the damaged us massively or not improved us. So of course fans' voice grows in that regard. So I get where you're coming from, Baz, but they've got to get this decision right. Twisted Baba here says, KJ, positivity breeds positivity.
Yeah, but let's be honest. What positives are we really got at Man United to breed more positivity from us to then breed onto the team? Like, they're not giving us more. So it's just literally, let me wait and see. Like, listen, I'm a believer in a religion, in a faith, right? That's where my blind faith can go. Everything else, I'm gonna be rational. You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't got enough space to do blind faith again. So yeah.
But I think look, Sunshine here says Amorim ain't the issue like fans and the media are making out. Ineos will stick by him until the end of the season, and I can see why. See, but where I agree with Sunshine is he isn't the issue as some people. Again, it is being exaggerated. For instance, it's a fact that he hasn't helped to improve us, that his football hasn't taken us back to even an acceptable level, where it hasn't even taken us back to a level where we were asking for other managers to be sacked at that 50-60% win ratio. That being said, in the 9 months before he arrived, we'd only won back-to-back games once in 9 months prior. as I just said, the previous stat, the better part of 3 years, we haven't won 3 league games at home on the bounce for. So what I don't do is go, everything's bad because of him, therefore when he leaves it's good. And we've got great examples. Rasmus Højlund scored again yesterday. And I'm not revising what I said. I still think the right thing to do was remove him. I don't play the game of, oh, can you imagine if he was here? I don't think he'd have this confidence here. The Šeško performance at the weekend was very good. Hold-up play was great, brought people into the match, scored a really good goal, poacher's goal. Højlund, it wouldn't be doing that for us because his confidence got destroyed. Why? Multiple layers, one big part of it being the club's direction, everything changing. But the idea that, oh, when Rasmus, we all saw the tweets, Rasmus is dead, watch how much better we're going to be when he leaves. That hasn't really happened. Rashford, very similar. You know, you've got Garnacho getting praised by Chelsea fans. No one player or one manager has ever been our main root cause problem. That's why when it comes to the inners and the outers in their debates, for me, it's like politics at the minute. The extreme sides of both parties are both just wrong. Like, because they're too extreme and they're missing the real conversation in the middle, which everybody else is having, but you just don't hear or see from them as much. And Mo called me out for this the other day, and he's right. You know, the problem is, Terry, you talk rationally about it, and that isn't entertaining. And people just want to see crash outs and craziness or weird, like Amarim's the best manager in the world chat still. That's what people want to see. They don't want to hear.
You need a polarizing view. You need to be sit on either side of the fence. Nobody likes somebody that sits on the fence and explains both sides. They just want someone that sits on one side and crashes on the other side and says they're stupid for thinking that way. That's what they want. Like,
they want a yin and yang, and there are some things where I'm not on the fence. Again, I get your point. It seems like you're on the fence, but it's actually because my true focus is the actual problem at the club. My frustration is, for 10 years, I've been in this space, 11 years in this space. Now, I'm a liar. 13 years in this space. It was summer of 2012 when I did my first ever conversation. It was on the news in the middle of London 2012 on Sky News. I debated Ian Bolton, ruined Ian Bolton on a business show, which some people don't even know about this stuff. YouTube, as for us, I didn't even start at that point, and I was out here doing these things. And I've seen it this whole time. That was my first show. It's all about the Glazers putting us on the stock market. All about that. And I've been calling it out since then. I said it on that show. Fergie was still at the club. And I said, if we are not careful with the way they're running us, and when people like Fergie go, I didn't know when I said this, he was going to retire that same year. I said, our club can get dragged down with it. And we're not aware of it as fans. I said, we all think it's all about the manager and the players. I said, well, you don't realize how important good ownership is. And Fergie has kept our heads afloat for the past, then it was like 8 years, 9 years, because he had a lot of control, but that will go when he leaves. And I said it live on the news. I then went on Channel 5 the same day, Channel 4 the same day. And I was getting threats by Man United fans going, shut up, you're talking nonsense. I'm like, no, I've been calling this out since day one, which is why I get very annoyed whenever randomly the mainstream media will have a week where they attack our owners and say they're the biggest problem. I'm like, you fucking bastards jumping on this now. People like me, 13, 14 years, consistent, but it's not fashionable when the football starts. In the summers, everyone's on the owners. Owners. The second the ball's kicked, manager's keeping us down, man. It's like people have a lobotomy the second football starts and they lose their minds. But yeah, it's going to be a real interesting one in relation to that. But look, I just think keep your feet on the ground. I've said it for about 6 months now. If we win a game, I don't go over the top. If we lose a game, probably a little angry. I get a little angry at times, but by and large, I know where we are. Let's see what happens after the Liverpool game, I suppose. Let's see. But viewers, give us your thoughts, give us your opinions. Jezza here, big up for the big super chat, bro. I appreciate that. He says Spurs stats, they've generated 7.64 XG and scored 13 goals, of which 4 have been own goals or deflected goals. 9.68 XG against, conceding 9. The wins are masking poor underlying performances, which aren't sustainable. Oh.
I don't think that's true. I think when you look at the own goal / deflected goals, you create those scenarios where you're putting the balls into the box, and sort of the own goals that they're scoring are like in their own 6-yard box. That happens in football, so you got to create those situations and put the balls into those areas. So yeah, look, there is some stats that you could say are concerning, but I don't think we've had so many poor underlying performances. But there is some poor performances where we've got away with results, but that's part of football.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Jez, I think, listen, me and Goldbridge have been talking about. I used to hate XG, but now I feel like I understand it more and I get it. And XG can show you. Some people go, it's stupid though. I don't know who I heard say this the other day. I saw a clip on Twitter, and it was someone saying, "But how can Harry Kane and Rasmus have the same XG if they're in the same shooting position? Because one's better at scoring than the other." And I was like, oh, I used to think that, but I now get it. It's the same chance for both. Yeah. But the way you measure XG is who achieves their XG, who underachieves it, and who overachieves it. So if Harry Kane and Rasmus Højlund both have in a season 35 XG, but Harry Kane scores 45 goals and Rasmus scores 15, it shows you who the better finisher is. Now, some will say, well, you know that by the goals they have anyway and the conversion rates. Yes, but this is just a more detailed way of looking at it. It shows you who is under or overachieving. That being said, if you have someone who's like Mohamed Kudus, I think the goal he scored at the weekend, yes, there was a slight deflection. But if you actually watch it again, it's going in anyway. He sold the goalkeeper. The goalkeeper thinks he's curling it to the far corner and he cuts it back the other way. It would have gone in. It absolutely would have done. But scoring those types of goals is also why XG is great. Because if you're someone that can have 10 XG in a season, but you've actually scored 15 goals, and it's because you put in 5 or 6 bangers and you're regularly scoring those bangers. Mo Salah done it for 7 or 8 years at Liverpool. How many times have you seen him curl it in, cuts in and curls it across a few defenders into the far corner? That is also an asset to have in a side as well. So I do get where you're coming from, and there are areas for Tottenham to improve on. But if they've only conceded the amount of goals that they're expected to based on performance, that isn't too bad, is it? But what would worry me more is if they were conceding double the goals against and conceding more. That's when you look at it and go, that's when you're throwing in goalkeeping errors. That's when you're throwing in massive defensive blunders on top of everything else for me. But thank you very much for the donation, my friend. And Luke Skywalker here encouraging everybody to hit the like button. Really important to us. Whether you're watching on X, whether you're watching here on YouTube, get liking, get sharing the stream, please. Now, we have an interesting comment here from Rob. He says, wait, where's the Liverpool fan? And it is 2 weeks running, Jords, that Jamie...
Rather convenient, ain't it? Rather convenient. He was on holiday these 2 weeks.
No, I know he got engaged. I think he is really away. I saw the picture of his missus. I think he did get engaged. But that big. Speaking of engagement, did you guys see Alex Gilroy-Trott? He had his engagement party on Saturday. First of all, why are you arranging with an international break coming up? Why is your engagement party on a Saturday when Liverpool play? I don't listen. Maybe it's me. I don't arrange anything for Man United.
I guess his missus probably arranged it. He didn't have no. KJ probably knows that as well. Like you ain't got control.
My wife. She knew what go on. She's like, Man United stuff needs to be separate from the
when I got married, my fiance wanted it to be done in like the summer. She wanted it in the summer, right? And I said, look, and she wanted it in July. And I said, look, then it's got to be this year. Why? I said, there's no Euros or World Cup. She's like, what are we talking about? I said, it's not even about me. Like, people get distracted by those things if there's like a big game on that day. Because I remember going to a wedding as a kid, and it was during Euro 96, and England were playing Scotland. And at one point in the day, nobody was at the wedding. Everybody went to find. This is when there was no phones, right? So people went to try and have where they can watch the game. And I remember my mum saying to the bride, who's a good friend of hers, "Why did you arrange it for today? Why didn't you think ahead?" But anyway, he was at his engagement party when the goal went in. There's a great bit of content and footage out there. But Jamie isn't here. But all that aside, George, are Liverpool in a bit of a? Are they in a crisis? Is it a major crisis? It's 3 defeats on the bounce. There's fans in the droves turning against Slot. I heard fans last night talking about Salah's not only got to be dropped, but taught a lesson. Viet's is getting a lot of being defended because of maybe the money that's being spent on him. But loads of players are being attacked. Slot, I was listening to the airways last night. He's been found out. He thinks he's Paisley, but he's nowhere near. He's more like Roy Hodgson. Last year was a fluke. I don't remember seeing so many vocal and public Liverpool fans this frustrated, this angry after a minor setback whilst still only sitting in second place. But do you get where they're coming from? Do you think that Liverpool are in a crisis?
Yeah. To put it quite blankly, yes, they are in they're in a mini crisis, we should say. They've not played good all season, barring maybe 45 minutes of games. You know, you could say maybe the first 45 against Bournemouth. That was a bit shaky for me. Atletico Madrid, I think they started off well, but they've really not had that many good performances at all across the season. They got very lucky that, again, their floor is a lot of teams' ceilings. So even at their worst, they're better than a lot of teams. So they managed to see out a lot of games, you know, get some last-minute moments of brilliance to see them out in some of these games. Last 10-minute goals, Szoboszlai, the Salah goal against Bournemouth. They got lucky in those games. At first, we all thought, this is a sign of title character, mentality, and all of this stuff. But as you saw it go on, it's only so long that those last 10-minute goals or those goals in the last 10 minutes are going to save you. And we're now starting to see that performances haven't picked up. The performances have been dreadful. That game against Chelsea on the weekend, I have to be honest, Chelsea were just way better than them for the majority of the time. Liverpool just didn't look like themselves. Arne Slot has been shown to his system that he's changed, because obviously he's not playing the same system as last year. And we all knew that they would have an issue trying to implement 5 first-team players into a new system, but then work it into, like, they've created a new system with the new players, which is making it even more messy. But you would expect the players like Salah, the players like maybe Konate and Gravenberch and the McAllister, the players that have been there for a few years, to start stepping up and seeing them through these games with the experience they have, but they haven't. All of them have looked awful, in particularly Salah. When you say he should be dropped, 100% should be dropped, because he hasn't looked good in nearly any game. He's been so bad. Wirtz deserves a lot of the criticism, and it's crazy, because I don't know about you guys, but when he come on the pitch, his first 2 touches were amazing. I was like, yo, this is the Wirtz we've been waiting for. He done the little backheel pass into Salah, and I was like, amazing. Can we see more of this? And then just faded out for the rest of the game. And then you're like, this is why fans get onto him, because you can see the moments and you can see the brilliance he has in those moments, but he's just not doing it across the course of a 45 or 90-minute half. So he's struggling. You can look at McAllister, who's just been poor. I don't know if it's because I think he had his baby a few weeks ago and he's being kept up all night. Like, he's just been dreadful. And then Konate, thinking about Real Madrid next year, man's already booked his flights or something, because he has been all the way checked out. He has some of the worst performances I've seen from him in a while. Liverpool definitely in a mini crisis. It needs to be addressed. Arne Slot needs to fix up the football. I think he needs to go back to what he knows last season. Just play that way whilst you're fixing it. And in the bigger games, maybe change it up, change your style. But in these smaller games where you're going up against teams where you're expected to beat, just do what you know, stick to what you know, and get those goals. But also, another thing that's just rather funny is this could be a sign of Liverpool's not having a mentality that many people think. Last year, they won the Premier League with no pressure. No one expected them to do it. There was no pressure, no expectation. Now, when we're seeing, for yet again, Liverpool have never done a back-to-back. Why? Because maybe the pressure's too much. This season, we're seeing how they started it. Maybe that's the pressure of the back-to-back. The expectation to win has now got to them, and they're not turning up. And yeah, it's only been 3 games, but 3 games in a row for Liverpool. I don't think we've seen them lose 3 games in a row. Maybe 5 years. I don't know. Maybe a long time. Maybe since that period where Klopp was really bad.
Where they lost, when they had the injuries. I mean, Rob
lost a couple of games at home, but yeah.
Well, I've got a few comments here, because I think they're really interesting to the point before I go to KJ's side. And Rob here says that last season, if you said it wasn't a high-quality season and Liverpool weren't great, Liverpool fans lost their minds. Now we are seeing maybe the truth in it. Twisted Bubba here. It's an interesting point. We're gonna go back to that in a second, Rob. Twisted Bubba says finally the Liverpool results match their performances. Mazar21 here says, Terry, why is nobody noticing that this Liverpool team is playing like last season's City, and now performances are catching up with them? And there's a lot of comments like this, KJ, including Rob, saying that, either the whole of last season or the back end of last season, Liverpool was starting to, get exposed at the back a little bit, maybe weren't quite as dominant. But as Jords alluded to, there wasn't a title race. Arsenal fell off earlier. City weren't at the races. But this season, with quite a lot of teams, and I know they haven't played all these sides yet, but Arsenal have improved. Tottenham have improved. Palace have been at an excellent level so far as an example. Chelsea have been nowhere near their best this season, especially in the last 3 or 4 games. A lot of that was discipline issues, but they were yesterday. Is this just a case of Liverpool being found out, maybe a leveling up of others, and so far the recruitment not being too great?
I think that I think there was a lot of stuff to sort out with this Liverpool transfer window. I think there was a lot of things that Slot had to tweak. I remember mentioning on, I think it was on this show at some point as well. Yeah, with Jamie, is like, this is Slot's biggest test in Liverpool as Liverpool manager, is how do you manage all of this new stuff together? And a lot of Liverpool fans at the time were like, it's going to be fine. Like, Slot knows how he's doing. We've got like best recruitment team in the world. We've got some of the best players and all these things. But we've seen it many times before with teams when they buy so much. It does take a little bit of time for all of it to work out. And then when you're off the back of winning the league and you've spent so much money, the eyes will be on you to make sure that you make those adjustments. The eyes will be on you to try and keep up and set the pace for the Premier League. And they were doing it for the first 5 games. And then they've just hit a roadblock now. And it's time for Arne Slot to earn his money. It's time for him to find a solution to this. And I'm not saying, like George's saying, George's not saying completely change everything. Maybe revert back to what you know. Maybe drop the likes of Salah, Wirtz, maybe Konate, maybe give a youngster a chance. Maybe just change it up just a little bit, just so that you can get through and find your rhythm. Because you look at the signings that they made, you thought Frimpong and Kirkes would come in, replace the 2 old fullbacks, bring some energy, bring some speed into the fullback play, and you can maybe see something similar to old school Klopp, or even people saying similar to PSG with how they've got with Nuno Mendes and Hakimi. They haven't started off great. Frimpong doesn't even start games. Kirkes has been hit and miss. You've got Florian Wirtz, who was supposed to add that creative spark, not adjusted to the Premier League. And I think the biggest problem of all, and the biggest question mark that Liverpool have got, is what's happening with Mo Salah? Like, what's caused this drop in form? Because he was always the guy that when things were going wrong, no matter what, he was performing. Like, he was the one getting goals, getting assists, like causing havoc for the defense, and he'll help Liverpool get through. He'll get an equalizer, he'll grab a winner, he'll do something. But it's dropped off this season. I don't know, maybe it's fatigue, maybe it's he's had some injuries in the summer that we don't know about, and he's recovering. We don't know what it is. But Mo Salah's form is concerning, because once you take him out of that right-hand side, who do you play there? And that's something that Liverpool should have been addressing long ago. You know what I mean? Long ago for this right spot.
On this. So I want to get the viewers involved a bit more on this. But Rob says Hassam, and I want to put this out as a call out to Hassam. He's going to be on Straight Facts here on the Football Terrace Wednesday 3:30, and we're going to go into this in detail. But Hassam's essentially saying, and I've listened to quite a bit of his content, it's not on the players. Everything going wrong at the minute, KJ Jords, is the manager and the system, the style and the approach. Almost, and if I'm getting this wrong, you can not call me out, but we can address this on Wednesdays, because it's what I'm hearing. It is all manager and nothing on the players. That's always a red flag in analysis for me. I'd say the same about my own club. In reverse, I sit here and I'm, what do you mean it's all on Amorim? He didn't miss the open goal. He didn't miss the penalty. I find it really interesting that some Liverpool fans, like Hassam, and I heard many call into TalkSport over the weekend and on their own channels, manager, nothing about Wirtz, zero blame on Salah. Everything has literally been the manager's making bad decisions, thus the team is really bad. Is that, gents, an exaggeration? Is Slot picking up too much of the slack here? Should the players be held to a higher account as well?
There's a bit of both. The one thing is, I think fans are finding it easy to get onto Slot now, because they're now starting to see that Dutch side of him come out, like the Van Gaal and Ten Hag, where he's very stern and he call out players. He shows a bit of the arrogance, and he's calling out referees, and he's starting to become a bit unlikable. You know, they got that Arteta trait where he's starting to be a bit cheeky in interviews and stuff. So I feel like fans are finding it easy to call him out because they're seeing his, you know, pleasant nature turn. It's like, do you know what? It is onslaught. Look at him. He's even getting more frustrated and his system is going wrong. And yeah, look, the system hasn't been the same. There's definitely a lot of things wrong with the system, you know, that can all be addressed. But some of the bigger issues you could say to, like KJ said earlier, the recruitment. The recruitment is a big problem. You have to look at the recruitment and how maybe the way they've embedded the recruitment hasn't been the best. But then also, you can never neglect the players. Salah starts off seasons. I think for the past 7 years, he has like the most goals across August and September or something stupid like that. Like he's on the maddest of streaks at the start of the year. It's usually at the end of the year he fades out. The fact that he started this way, you don't look at the manager and say, "Oh, it's Slot's fault he started rubbish." No, why has Salah started rubbish? You got a big new contract at the end of last season. I don't know if you've got too comfy over the summer, but you need to pick up your performances. You've got a lot of senior players that are the only player I think who's actually had being good. And you know, it's going to be harsh because you know all the pictures going around at the moment. Man, like shaking my arm violently, man. Because he's actually been the only
girls
player.
Run spice, bro. That's what he is, man.
He's actually been a senior player. You can see the way he's carrying himself in the performances. He's been really good, but that picture's just ruined his whole start to the season.
What is funny about Van Dijk? He's so good, but he will do things, and he'll be in positions where he just looks crazy, and like he's got so many memes of him being in like the wrong position.
The maddest pictures.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. I feel for him in that sense, man. Absolutely insane. But yeah, no, like it's not all on Slot. It's not all on Slot because it can't be all on Slot because when you like George said, when you have one of the greatest players we've seen in the Premier League in Mo Salah, one of the best in the early seasons, doing what he's doing and just not performing, and what more can Slot do besides drop him? That's the only other thing that he's got. But if he drops him, again, pressure on, media coverage. He's dropped Mo Salah. Oh, if you don't get results, then he doesn't know what he's doing. So it's Mo Salah is kind of similar to like Bruno Fernandes, where it's kind of like because he's been so good for that team. Anytime he's not in the team, it's all about if you'd started Salah, you would have won. As soon as you drop points, it goes back to him when the focus should be on the team, right? So it's not all on Slot, and he has got a challenge on his hands, and I do think he can overcome this. Like I don't think this is a sign of decline. I don't think this is a sign of they're not going to challenge and they're going to be nowhere near the title race. They're in it. They will be in it towards the end. Right now, it's just how do you adjust to these things? If he's really if Slot's really about that life, if he really wants to be a serious manager and then eventually consider the GOAT, he has to now take this time in this international break, reflect, and come back firing against Man United, which obviously I don't hope so. I don't want that. But in this conversation, that's what he needs to do.
Well, it's really interesting because if Man United were in our current predicament and situation, if we were by chance, by hook, by crook, to go to Anfield, I even think a draw is going to light. It's not like a match. The match has been lit. Part of the woods are on fire. You know when the helicopters fly over a forest fire and they drop water? If Man United went there and win, that's not water. That's gasoline. That is it is because it's going to go. And there's also a secondary part of football fandom that I'm intrigued if that happens. If Man United win there. I doubt it, but if we did and they lose their minds, I want to see how the team, the players, the manager recover. Because I've been thinking this for a while now. I don't know if we get angry because we have standards actually helps improve teams. I'm not sure if it does. I'm not sure if it does. It'd be a really good sort of thing to watch. But that's a side note. I just don't buy into this. It's all on Slot stuff. I can't buy into it because I keep hearing he's playing everybody out of position. Like who? Like how many players? A Soboslai right back, I get, but he's been there before.
Better at right back. He's looked better at right back.
But there's that element. Like, there's a few, but the goalie's in his right place. The fullbacks are in there. The left backs are in their right place. Centre backs are in the right place. Central midfielders are in the right place. Wirtz is a 10. Salah's been on the right. Gakpo predominantly has been on the left. Like I've seen people in the comments say he's playing too many players out of position. What
think,
players? Like I need to explain. It's slightly rhetorical. One sec, sorry. And for me, like, so who's been out of position? I need to understand it. Yes, I understand. I agree with you. There is a systematic issue when it comes to defending. So they're playing narrow midfield three because they've got a double pivot and a 10, but the fullbacks are pushing up and their double pivot are not covering the spaces in behind as in the 4-3, more 4-3-3 shape. I get it. And that's causing them defensive issues. But what I need explaining to me, because I don't understand it, is how that makes Mo Salah's shooting poor. How that makes the first touch of Wirtz bad. Isak, I've got leeway on because he had no preseason and he's finding his feet as an example. But if the system's so bad, and that's why the other attackers are looking bad, then how comes Hugo Ekitike has looked excellent every single time I've seen him on the pitch for Liverpool? How comes? I agree with the Liverpool fans on one thing. Chiesa and Rio have looked better on the left than Gakpo has. But why are they looking good on the left when Gakpo isn't, if it's a systematic issue? This reminds me of the Grealish conversation. Terry Grealish is bad because of the system, the manager's instructions that fullbacks don't take people on. They're meant to recycle. Then why are all the other wingers taking people on? Why is he the only one who isn't doing it? It's because he isn't playing well. And I know the system plays a part, and I'll never say it's 100% not the manager or not the system, but there are a few things that are not stacking up. And my theory is, I think fans sometimes try and get ahead of the game here. Oh, if I turn on these players, right, and I start slagging them off, that might follow me around forever. Where if I go on the manager and the manager doesn't improve and he leaves, then I can and then the new manager comes in and the players play well, I can always say, I back these players. Part of me thinks that. And maybe I'm being really, really cynical. And I could be very, very wrong on this. But I'm seeing the way people are going in on slot and completely defending all the players. And I just think they're wrong. They're not wrong in some of their criticisms on slot, but overall, it is not all on him. A large number of these Liverpool players also haven't been good enough this year. They haven't been able to perform to the same levels as last season. And there could be multiple reasons for that. And I just think, if people truly believe that the pressure put on by fans helps to improve clubs, fine, let's sit in the world where that's 100% true. Then you've got to put pressure in all the areas that need accountability, not just one, because then you're only going to improve one area. You're not going to improve the players as well. So I find it really interesting that people are just kind of going in on slot and just leaving the players alone. I did find it interesting yesterday that the media defended Liverpool, saying we've got to leave them alone. They're a team in transition. I thought that was hilarious.
That's a disgrace. Absolute disgrace to say they're in transition. That is ridiculous. I would leave my last comment on Liverpool at this. Liverpool have won 2 Premier Leagues since the Premier League has started. My question to everyone is this: have Liverpool ever won a tight title race?
No, I'd even go as far to say if they won a league, they was expected to. That's what I would say.
Not in the Premier League era. In the 70s and 80s, they did. They haven't done that in the Premier League era. And this is one thing I said about this season. The money they spent plays a part in this, but the quality of player too. Yeah, of course, no Liverpool fan, if they just won the Premier League, should be angry at winning a Premier League. That's a ridiculous thought. But I think they spent the money they did. And I remember talking to Liverpool fans in the summer, and I agreed with them on this was a chance to go back to back for the first time in 40 years. This was the time where you could do a Prem champ double, retaining the title, winning multiple trophies. That's true legacy building, because you can't, I view it this is just my view, by the way, and I know some Liverpool fans agreed with it in the summer. Man United can't create another dynasty without matching what the previous dynasties did, because that's the standard your club has set. So for a Liverpool's team now to be looked at like the 70s and 80s side, they've got to win. They've got to have a 4 or 5 year period where they're winning 3 or 4 Premier Leagues, a Champions League or 2 in there, domestic trophies at the same time, when they're on the edge of trebles and things, because that's the level that Liverpool have set for themselves. Forget all of us looking at them from the outside in. That's the level they've set for their greatest ever sides. And I think when you have a very good team, a very competent, very good manager, and you add the quality they did, you're trying to achieve something along those levels. But that comes with a different pressure. It's why, for the City fans here, make sure you're listening. It's why when people go, Pep's a checkbook manager, Jose's a checkbook manager, Fergie, even though he weren't even the highest spender in his time in the Premier League, they did it by spending money. This is what you don't understand. When you spend money, the pressure increases on everybody. The owners put more pressure on the player and manager. The media go in, rivals go in. It makes it a harder challenge. Retaining a title, again, the greatest managers. That's why maybe we're all hearing it now. To go into the great, or whatever we want to call it, legendary manager category. I have there's a standard, and it's you have to have won back-to-back league trophies or multiple Champions Leagues. If you haven't done one of those two things, you don't get in. You don't get in the club. You don't get to come in to that status. People don't realize how hard it is to motivate your team, motivate your players, handle the pressure a couple of years running. To do it 3 times, to do it 4 times, my God, people don't understand the levels that it takes to do it. And for me, all of this is playing a part. It isn't simply a couple of players are being played out of position. I don't think it is as simple as people are making out. They've got to learn to handle and navigate all of this. And the one thing that isn't going to help is rivals are not going to help you. Rivals are going to be on you every single step of the way because of what you've spent now and what you were. And that's the nature of the beast. You can't get away from that. So, yeah, look, Liverpool for me are in a bit of a crisis right now. I don't think their fans are helping by having meltdowns the way they are. I don't think that's going to help Liverpool. I think Liverpool Football Club operates better when there's unity. And I know people are angry, but I don't think it's going to help. But it's your club. Do what you want. I'm not telling you how to feel or how to behave. I'm just giving you an opinion on it. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting next few weeks. Nomad here with the super chat says it's on slot, Terry. He chose to put the money on 2 strikers and not getting CBs. See, this is why I'll defend slot. So we can't. He doesn't run Liverpool Football Club. FSG do, and Hughes and Edwards decided to do that. Managers don't do these things at football clubs anymore. It's the sporting directors, the people that run the club. They build the squads. He doesn't have that power. Now, does he sign off on things? Go, yeah, I'll have that striker. Yeah, I like this. Yes, but the sporting directors run and do this. I'm not going to suddenly change my tone from the summer and go, it's all on the manager, what he's had bought for him, because we know that's not how Liverpool Football Club are structured. Gakpo lost the ball 22 times. That doesn't help any system.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're not Bruno. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, it's true. It's very, very true. This comment here says that Liverpool have never won a title race, both times in the Premier League. That is, both times they won it, there was no competition. This is, when we talk about like legendary status in the game, and this is why I always look at these things. Like, yes, you can win a Premier League title at a canter with 90 points. I don't necessarily think that makes you better than a team that won it with 80 points that was in a 3-horse race and they won it by a singular point. Like, the pressure you're handling to maintain that in that period is a different level. And title races, they are a different animal. They really, really are, because they bring out all manner of stresses. This here says, like I said last week, so some Liverpool fans have been embarrassing after this weekend. There is one absolute melt in my fan base. Fuck knows where they came from. There's some absolute melts in my fan base. No idea where they came from.
Welcome to modern football. You know what I mean? Like, every fan base has them. When you're winning, people act like, oh, my fan base is the best. We don't complain. We don't do this. We don't do that. When things don't go your way, oh, listen, you'll be turning into quote unquote Arsenal fans or United fans, or whatever fans you don't like, you turn into them real quick. It is just the world of modern football media. Like, it is what it is, unfortunately.
I like this here. If Fergie's era was dead because none of the teams outside the big six could sign players they can today, you didn't have Bournemouth and Brentford's dropping fit. Well, no, man, listen, the average spend in the 90s by the biggest clubs in the world was like £25 million. So nobody was doing that. But what about Blackburn? Another team beginning with B. What about Newcastle in the 90s? What about, see, this is what you kids don't understand. And you should know this, being a Liverpool fan. You don't even know your own city's footballing history. Go back and look what Everton were in the early 90s. Go back and look what Leeds were throughout the whole of the 90s. How big those clubs were, the money they had. You actually go look as well. Manchester United, in the first 10 years of the Premier League, which saw us win the majority of them, including trebles and three-peats, and the first team ever to do the double-double. Fergie was only Man United with the 10th highest spenders. 10 teams in England spent more than us. What are we doing here? Learn your history before you talk. Crazy. But yeah, I do think Liverpool in a bit of a crisis right now, and they could turn it around. But I think they need tweaks to the system, and I think certain players need to take a long, hard look in the mirror and come back and start performing. It's as simple as that. They've got to start delivering for their team. In relation to that game, gents, obviously Chelsea, they had to fight back. They had a really bad period, sort of international break to international break. They did well against Brighton, but they threw it away after the red card. But now, back-to-back wins in the week. They beat Benfica. They go away beating Liverpool. Good opportunity for them now. A few players coming back from injury after the international break. A good sort of base for them to kind of settle a little bit and try and get back to their levels after the international break. Because Chelsea fans were feeling it a bit, but I feel like this win this weekend has been a real shot in the arm for them.
Yeah, they've needed it. They've definitely needed it. I think there was a few weeks where definitely when you're seeing Cole Palmer out, it's like, do they have any solutions barring Cole Palmer in that final third? Because as much as they were, they weren't really getting results, but they didn't look terrible in games. Just how good they was in the attack, just it dropped off heavily. You're looking at all these players they signed: Jamie Gittins, Garnacho, even João Pedro didn't really look good for those last couple of games. But in that game against Liverpool, you could say pretty much all of them set up. I saw Jamie Gittins actually come on and look really positive in that game. He looked like he had some extra confidence running at his man down that left wing. I'm pretty sure he might have been one of the people pivotal to creating the Esteval goal in the end. Garnacho has actually looked all right. I'm not going to sit here and say he had a good performance. I think the one thing we just saw him do what he done at United a lot of the times. He'll beat his man. He will create a little bit of a problem, but not enough of a problem to have a sustained impact in the game. He won't really put that final cross in. He won't make that shot to score the goal, but he'll beat his man and do the little things that you expect him to do because he isn't a terrible football player. So he looked okay. But away from that, look, I think Chelsea's biggest thing and where they can rely upon is their midfield has got a lot of depth and they've got that strength with having Caicedo, Enzo, and both of those two players have really, really stepped it up. Caicedo in particular with the goal scoring side of things this season. For me, now adding that goals probably cements himself because last year it was like him and Rice were like neck and neck, and I know a lot of fans are like up and down with it. For me, they were like neck and neck, and I think the only thing that really separated them was Rice has got the final third play. He's got the goals, he's got the assists, the set pieces that he's added to his game. Can Caicedo do that and match it? And this season he's done that. He started to add those important goals in these games, winning Chelsea's points. And you're now looking at him saying, yo, this could literally be the best midfielder in the league. So he's looked really good. And yeah, seeing Lavia come back is a huge confidence boost. Like I said, they've just got all their injured players coming back. Now, the defense is still a problem. I think on the weekend, defensively, they were all right. They weren't great, but they weren't bad. They were pretty good. I do think across a sustained period of games, whether you looked at that defense 3-4 games across, a period, I don't think it will necessarily be good. It'll probably have one good, one bad performance, but that's the only area they really need to improve in it. That midfield area is a good, strong base for them. And once Cole Palmer's back, they're always doing some stuff in the attack.
Yeah, Chelsea have a real. Sorry, Terry, you're gonna ask a question.
No. Yeah, I was going to ask you a question actually. Aside from that, KJ, who's the better midfielder? Caicedo or Rice?
Oh, I hate this question. Why?
In your opinion, because they play similar roles. They're both central midfielders. With a Gary Neville say it's Caicedo. I think Jamie Carragher has said it's Declan. Is alluded to Declan Rice. Which of the two? Both had brilliant games this weekend, by the way. If you're picking one, who you picking and why?
You know what it is? It's hard to separate them because they both have one of the core things I love in footballers, which is P&P. So I can't even say one's got it and one hasn't. They both got it. Declan Rice set pieces are good, but I think the way Caicedo, I think Caicedo's passing might be better, like on the floor, long range.
Yeah,
I think he's got the goal. Rice has got the goals. I will say Caicedo. Okay, I will say Caicedo. The reason why I'll say Caicedo is because I think is more defined in what he does. Like, you know what he is. You know, is that DM, that six who can break up play and distribute the ball. The thing is with Rice, sometimes he gets caught in, is he a 6? Is he an 8? He has to do a lot on the pitch sometimes. And I think it's easy for him to hide sometimes. But not to say that he's not a great player. He's an absolutely top-notch player. And people were doubting him when he first broke onto the scene and when he first went to Arsenal. People were saying, oh, why they spend this much money? He's not that good. All these things. But he's a top quality player. I think right now in this moment in time, I think I'll go Caicedo just because I believe that if I'm building a midfield, I don't have a what should I do with Caicedo? Like boom, like this is what I want to do with him, and then I can get players around him to do X, Y, and Z. That's how tight it is. That's how tight it is. That's how like minimal I have to go to differentiate the two because they're both quality players. So I would go with Caicedo, but Rice is also an excellent player.
What are you saying, Jords?
Yeah, for me, like last season, if you ask me, I would have said Rice. I've been a massive Rice fan since his time at West Ham, but as you know, last season Caicedo had a really strong year, and then the way he started this year, I'm just like, you know what? At this moment in time, I'm gonna lean towards Caicedo, just adding the goals to his game. Like I said, his passing ability for me is way beyond. Like I think the ability to break the lines of his passes, Caicedo shows me that game in, game out. He's making those passes through to João Pedro or whoever's in that Chelsea attack, and some really good passes. I don't see Rice do that often enough. He'll drive through the midfield with the ball and create that space through progressing it with driving and carrying it. But yeah, I think for me, I'd lean on Caicedo more. But like I said, there's really not much difference between them. Fans that try to act like there's a huge difference are just lying to themselves. Like it's minimal.
Yeah, we're gonna be having that debate more on the six-sided tonight. So we're gonna be going through that tonight on six-sided. We're gonna do a fact or fiction question about that. What is interesting is this was put out yesterday that Declan Rice line breaking passes this season. He's ranked 3rd in the Premier League, with only Rodri and Bruno Fernandes ahead of him for the most line-breaking passes this season, which I thought was interesting because he doesn't get enough credit for that. And factually speaking, he does do a lot of it. But the one thing I agree with you the most on there, Jords, is there isn't much between them. And I think for me, it's sometimes someone could pick Caicedo and everyone goes, facts, you're right. But if they say it's Caicedo and he's clear, well, you're no longer right, you're now wrong. Because your statement, you might be right that one's better than the other, but if you exaggerate it, then I look at you as someone that's. I think if you say Caicedo is clear of Rice, you're more incorrect than if you say Rice is slightly better than Caicedo. I actually think you're more incorrect because there's a much bigger gap between what you're saying and the reality of the situation. And I get why fan bases do it because they want one guy to look better than the other. And you also know as well, because both fan bases, especially in our group chats, you always see it. They're always trying to find a reason to like shit on the other one. And that's always the telltale sign they know that person's really good. So I think they're both excellent. I thought it was interesting that both Sky's main two pundits, anchors, presenters both managed to bring that up this weekend. I thought, oh, they must have. I thought, the international break is here.
Yeah, it is. No, it's funny though. Gravenberch gets left out of this conversation a lot, considering he's also seen as one of the best DMs in the league. So if you add him in as well, maybe you have to do that and six-sided, Terry. Rank the three of them because I think he deserves a bit of a shout as well.
I think we'll do that tonight, 6 p.m. tonight, six-sided on the Football Terrace. You should be there. It's going to be a real interesting one in relation to that. But I thought Chelsea did very, very well this weekend.
I've got something to say about Chelsea.
Go on.
Actually, before we move on, their next 5 games, they've got a massive chance to build some momentum into this league because before their 5th game after the international break is Spurs away. So that's obviously massive game, London derby away from home. Spurs are in good form. But before that, they've got Nottingham Forest, who, let's be honest now, they are a shambles because what that owner did. Why they sacked Nuno, we have no idea. And for Ange as well.
007 manager.
Yeah, the 007 manager as well. Oh, come on, crazy. Then they've got Ajax in the Champions League at home, which you expect them to beat. Then they've got Sunderland at home, which you expect them to beat. Then they've got Wolves away in the EFL Cup. So Chelsea have got this big chance to build up some momentum and some steam and really go for a run of games here where you can say you win 4 or 5, maybe even 6 games on the bounce. Because after that, after the Spurs, they've got Karabag, they've got Wolves, they've got Burnley, and then it will be the big one against Barcelona. So they've got like 6, 7 games there where you're like,
performance
you
need to be there. But no, they do, and performances are key. And I've been saying this to Chelsea fans for 6 months, and I think it sometimes frustrates them because they go, well, you predicted that we weren't going to do well. I said, no, I predicted that if your performances don't improve, you're not going to be consistent. I don't even, by the way, I'm not inventing the wheel. It's quite normal. You need performances to become consistent. And it's what Chelsea now need is 3, 4, 5 performances like against Liverpool. Get those wins over the line, build that. It's still a young squad. You've got to build that confidence and things moving forward and everything else. You know what I did find really interesting is how Jamie Carragher celebrated Maresca running down the touchline and celebrating, where he spent the whole of last season slagging off Arsenal for celebrating wins. These pundits do themselves absolutely no favors when it comes to being cooked.
We need to get HMRC, football HMRC needs to be on that real quick.
No, but I think Chelsea showed something at the weekend that's really good. It's now about building on it. The worst thing for them is come back after the international break, lose their first game. I mean, it would just be devastating for them to do that, lose that momentum. And I think sometimes, we were speaking earlier on today, KJ, that last minute winner is sometimes a shot sometimes it's better than winning 3-0, but 3 early goals. They give you a different sort of shot in the arm. It makes you feel sort of different when it comes to winning a game. And I think Chelsea certainly needed it. The other side of the part of the title race was obviously Arsenal, who very, very comfortable against West Ham. And we just mentioned Forest, Nuno now there. I mean, I like Nuno, but we'll be honest with you. I mean, the tactics from West Ham just stunk the gaff out. It was 11 men behind the ball for 90 minutes. It allows 0 space. And they made it really hard for Arsenal. But what I thought was interesting for the Gooners at the weekend was that's been a game and a tactic used against them for the last couple of years that's hurt them, where they've not been able to break West Ham down. They've countered and scored. And I think both those games may have been later in the season at the Emirates, but essentially have damaged their title races and damaged their ability to win the league. But even with Odegaard going off, even with not all of their players being absolutely tip-top, they still found a way to score 2 goals. Probably should have scored a few more. But there's suddenly this feeling, which 2 weeks ago we were sitting here, Jords, maybe 3 weeks ago, and there was talk of sack Arteta, handbrakes on, what an horrendous start to the season. They're now the clear favourites with the bookmakers. Multiple rivals are losing their mind over the idea of them maybe winning it. The fans are purring. One of the highest goal scorers in the league, best defensive record. What a difference a couple of weeks can make. But they are top. They are now considered the favourites to win the league, especially with the form of Liverpool. What's your view of Arsenal this weekend and their growth in the last couple of weeks?
I'll be honest, the game they played the weekend was very similar to a lot of Arsenal forms. Like I said, I fell asleep in like the 70th minute because I was generally getting just bored of watching, like, get the ball side, work it to the wing, cross it in, bounce back. It was one of those games where Arsenal had so much possession. It was just boring because we know that because they got the early goal, they didn't need to win. So they were just quite comfortable with, rinse and repeat, out to the wings, keep the ball, sustain possession. But like you said, I think, look, it's a turnaround of the narrative for Arsenal, just simply off the back of they've played very similar football to what they've been playing, handbrake up and so on. And I think it's just a case of personnel. Sometimes when you have different personnel on, the way they started that game, I think against City, when people said they had the handbrake up, was they had a midfield three of I think it was Moreno, Odegaard. It was Moreno, Zubimendi, and Rice, was it? It was something similar to that. So they had a midfield three that was very defensive. So when you're looking at these games, you're like, oh, they started against West Ham with Odegaard and Eze in the midfield, with Rice in the six. They're going to be a lot more attacking. They're going to break teams down. They're going to open up a lot more. Eze missing the chance that he did. I did like to see that a little, still, I think Eze's not got a goal in the Premier League. So another new agent will be joining the team if he misses one more game. Hang
on. So 007 now is specifically for Premier League? Because it used to be all comps. Is it now just the Prem?
All comp, but for Eze, we'll exclusively make it Premier League because suits my narrative. Because you like it. But no, more than anything, look, I think Arsenal being favourites doesn't actually mean much. I think what that is the bookmakers pulling on the heartstrings of Arsenal fans. Is get all your bets in now, get your favourites. Go on, get your bets in now. Because they know just in a few months that Arsenal are going to find a way to mess it up. So I'm very calm as a rival fan or as a direct rival of Arsenal and thinking that, they've started off the season good. I still expect a fallout at some point. I think they're going to be really good for the first couple months. I think all the way up until December, they are really strong in general. So I expect to see Arsenal just continuously improve. The one thing that I have been impressed is defensively. Like, again, we know they've got the best defense in the league, but the fact that they've conceded near to no goal, like that, I don't remember a goal. Man City, they've conceded a few. They've conceded about 5 or 6 goals across the season. They're doing really well.
They've conceded 3
in the
so
league.
Even less. I was going 5 or 6 being generous, thinking there's a little bit more, but 3 goals.
But that might be all comps because have they conceded I don't think they've conceded in the Champions League, have they?
No, they didn't concede in their last game against Monaco. Was it Monaco? No, they didn't play Monaco yet. That's Man City. They played Olympiacos. Olympiacos, they didn't concede against.
Olympiacos 2-0, and then I think they won.
Villarreal, was it? No, not Villarreal.
Who's there?
Atletico Bilbao. They beat
Bilbao, they won 2-0 as well. Yeah, so all season they've conceded 3 goals.
That's what I mean. So defensively, they've been one
of them was that free kick from Soboslai. Like, to put into context in terms of open play goals, I think they've had 1 open play goal all year, 1 free kick and 1 corner.
They've been class.
I need to ask you a question, Jords. So if Liverpool are in major crisis, if Liverpool and Arsenal got an assist, I think Eze's got an assist in the Prem. So he's already got.
I ain't scored a goal. That's fine. You don't spend that much money to get a player. Don't score goals.
Now only the Prem and its goals. But okay. So if Arsenal have been as good as you say, and Liverpool are in crisis, who is going to stop them? Like, if they're going to find a way to mess up, but who's going to stop them in your opinion? Who are the favourites still in your opinion?
Arsenal always stop themselves. they're the biggest enemy they're their own biggest enemies. Every time they go out there, it's never a big team that stops Arsenal. Arsenal have good records for the last 4 or 5 years against the big teams. It's the small teams and themselves that stop it. So when they start to get too confident, too comfortable, just like they did, I think it was the game against Man City when they beat Man City 5-1. It was after that game when they started to play poorly and they started to have result issues last year in February, because it was the 31st of Jan, right at the end of the transfer window. They smashed up Man City, and then I think they went up against West Ham and Nottingham Forest and a few other games after that when they started to drop points. So it's once Arsenal get to that peak of confidence is when they usually knock themselves back a while. So I think it'll be Arsenal that'll bring themselves down, not anyone else.
I've got talking about that, Jords, about shooting themselves in the foot. I have just a question. I'm not, before I ask this question, people, this is not me stating an opinion, because I know people do that. You ask the question, that means you must believe it. No, I'm asking a question. But
what's the time? You already know. Why do I know? Because you asked.
Yeah. Okay. Right, so Victor Gyökeres, his performances haven't been the greatest, especially against obviously the low blocks as well. Is he going to be a hindrance potentially in this Arsenal team if they want to win the league? Because I'm not doubting his ability to score goals. I believe he can do that. But when they need him to hold up the ball, if they need him to link up play, if they maybe need him to get past some defenders by himself for the team, is he going to be a hindrance? Is he going to be able to rise to the occasion to help them?
So I don't think so, because I actually think his hold up play in the last 2 or 3 games have been very good. He has scored some goals for them. I wouldn't say he's been a disastrous signing. I wouldn't say he's been awful. I think he's done well so far. Well is what I put in the middle of the road well category. But I think City might have got more goals than them now. I might be wrong in saying that in the Prem. If I am. If I'm not, I'm not.
They do.
1 more goal. So yeah, City 1 extra goal, but they're the 2nd highest goal scorers in the league, best defensive team in the league, goals being spread around. He's got some himself. I don't see Gyökeres getting any worse than he is now. I only see him getting better. Therefore, I don't see it being a hindrance I don't see him being a hindrance or a problem to the team and to the side. I think Liverpool are going to get better, by the way. I want to make sure I'm keeping the same energy here. I think the likes of Eze and Saka and Gyökeres working together is going to improve. I don't know how many games of the 9 they've played, Champions League and Premier League, where those 3 have even been on the pitch at the same time as each other. All 3 of them together, probably very few. And I feel that as those guys actually develop a better understanding of each other, a better relationship, a bit of know-how, at the weekend, there's 2 or 3 times where Saka's balls and passes to Gyökeres were just slightly behind him. And some of that is about him learning Saka and Saka learning him. I think that's all going to improve and get better. But I don't see him being a hindrance to Arsenal. I see him as I did when they signed him. I think he's going to be a net positive and benefit to Arsenal. They've
been fine without him for so many years. Like, no, I wouldn't say. Well, they've been fine. They haven't been amazing, but they've been fine without him. I don't necessarily think they need him in the actual build-up play or the hold-up a lot of the times, because they were so possessionally dominant that when he's going to be used is usually just that little movement in the box. I need you to create some space for yourself in the box. So when putting it in, you finish the chance. Sort of being how Haaland is for City is, you don't, sometimes he has 12 touches in a game, but 2 of those touches are 2 goals. Like, that's all you need from him. The Olympiacos game showed, to be fair, that he does have that all-round game to him. He can bully defenders. He can be sort of a helping, linking play. But I think in the Premier League, he's just going to struggle because of the way that teams set up against Arsenal.
Yeah. No, and listen, I'm people in the comments again. Oh, KJ, you haven't watched our Gyökeres for Arsenal. This is what I mean. This Terry, even with a disclaimer, people still don't understand what on earth's going on. I don't think Gyökeres is bad. I'm just going off what some people have said. Even Arsenal fans, by the way, I've seen even Arsenal fans complain and be worried about Gyökeres in this team. So I just wanted to know the opinions of the guys. I think he's a tool. Gyökeres is a tool. And all players are tools in that sense, where you've got games that will suit them and not suit them. You know what I mean? So he doesn't have to play every game. When Havertz comes back, it'd be good to rotate the 2. It'd be good to play them together. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many different options that they have that worrying about Gyökeres now is for me shouldn't be a concern as Arsenal fans. But I've seen them complain.
I hear that. Nicola here says 100% not going to happen. But if Arsenal have conceded 3 goals in the first 6 games, almost 16%, imagine the meltdown if it goes to the end of the season and concede a max 19 goals, maybe even breaking that record. Look, if you break that, I think if you get close to that record, you've won the league. I think if anyone only concedes 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 goals in a season, it's very likely they win the Premier League, because it means you've barely lost a game. You're going to barely lose a football match if you're only conceding that small amount of goals and games. Now, you drew a lot last year, and that's one of the biggest differences going into this season. 1 drawing 7, where I swear you drew about 14 games last year, which is, the percentage-wise, is massive. We're already almost a quarter of the way through the season. You're on 1 draw, and you had like 14 draws last year. So you do the maths on it. The number is very, very different. But Arsenal got a great chance, and I get where Jords is coming from. That Arsenal can be their own worst enemy. I think if they build up, I think if Liverpool don't get out of this slump and they build a lead, I know that a lot of people are writing off City, and I still watch. Yesterday was such an interesting game because they beat Brentford, and they deserved to beat Brentford. But I think the reason why people are not putting City in that title race is I think people still think City just a level below where Arsenal are right now, and they're looking at that on the sense of, I mean, very good goalkeeping by Donnarumma again. I know that he won't get the credit in certain group chats that we're in, but the way what he did to stop that goal, and people don't even realize he didn't just rush out. He kind of bided his time, and he timed it. He just timed it perfectly. It was absolutely fantastic. But I think City might be there, might be thereabouts. I don't know. There's something about City I'm still not 100% convinced about from a title-winning perspective. But I think if Arsenal build up a lead this season, I don't think they'll be caught. I think that Arsenal have grown. I think that what I've noticed is this: their past disappointments are not leading to them. Arteta hasn't lost the dressing room. They don't look like a team that's lost its hunger. They look like a team that's still fighting, which the indicator that gives me is that the past disappointments are motivating them, not holding them back. So where I still have Liverpool right now as my marginal favourites, even though Arsenal are top. I haven't changed my mind on that yet. But let's say the next 7 games go by and they have a 5, 6, 7 point lead, I think Arsenal go on to win the league from there. I don't think they'll crumble. I don't think they'll collapse. I think that the signings they've made in the summer, you look at Liverpool's, they're still trying to make it work. I feel like Arsenal's are just starting to. I think the international break's coming at the wrong time for Arsenal. I think Arsenal were probably sitting there thinking, "Oh, we want our games to come now," because they're in a really good space, they're in really good form, and yeah, look, it's going to be a very, very, very interesting next group of 4 or 5 matches before the next bloody international break. It's the only thing that's why I like that sort of late November to March period. You get 4 months of just solid football where you get into these runs. But yeah,
I've just seen Arsenal's next 4 Premier League games before that international break. Fulham away, Palace at home, Burnley away, Sunderland away.
they should all be wins for Arsenal. They should be wins. I mean, Fulham have not actually been that good this season. They're sitting 14th in the league, lost their last 2 games. Palace are a good team, and they are, but at home, Arsenal at home, I still think Arsenal should be looking at that as a game they will win. And then away to 2 newly promoted teams. That being said, if they come away from those games with a couple of draws or a defeat and a draw, that's when those question marks are going to be had. But I think if they walk through those next 4 games, 4 wins from 4, which is doable, that'll be 6 on the bounce in the Premier League. I think a lot of people are going to be revisiting their Premier League predictions by the next international break. Who have Liverpool and City got respectively? I don't know.
Okay, real quick check. Liverpool, the next couple of games in the Premier League before international break will be obviously Man United at home, Brentford away, Aston Villa at home, and then they have Man City
away or home.
Away before the international
okay.
break in November.
And City's games?
Man City, one sec, real quick. Man City they have got Everton at home next after the international break. Then it will be no, sorry, this is messed up. Yeah, it is Everton. Then it'll be Aston Villa away. Then it'll be Bournemouth at home, and then obviously they play at home.
They play at Liverpool.
Yeah,
very interesting. So again, you look at Liverpool's and you think, I mean, they're actually all tough games. Well, they're all toughish games. United, sometimes they bash us, sometimes it's a little. We've got to remember they've drawn the last 2 against us at home, right? So let's see. Then they've got Brentford, then Villa, because Villa, Villa are starting to turn that corner now. They're starting to look a little bit better. They're leveling up, and then they play City. I mean, it's one of those things for Arsenal. I mean, if Arsenal could, Arsenal's fixtures are definitely easier than City and Liverpool's. Would we all agree on that?
Oh yeah, 100%.
They're definitely easier. So. Listen, if Arsenal could get 4 from 4, just from a title race perspective, it puts a lot of pressure then on City and on Liverpool. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting. I'm looking forward to that group of 4 games. And then we go to the big onslaught of games for the next 3 months after that, which I can't wait for. So.
The best part of football, one international break. They need to literally find a way to scrap most of them and have it all. I think
something already got announced, didn't it? Which is they're going to have only 2 at the beginning of the season, but one of them is going to be slightly longer. So I think we'll come back in like a midweek for games. I think it's like that. So yeah, so it might be a 3. Yeah, so there's less breaks, but then there'll be a 3-week gap rather than being 3 breaks. Which
I don't know. It's still a bit crap in it, but
I'd rather the international break happen almost like before the season starts, if that makes sense. Like you have international breaks at the end. You couldn't do it because of pre-season, I suppose, but I'm just a bit like
I'm saying this: get rid of them all, condense the season down, let it finish earlier, and then do what you need to do at the end of the season. Like whatever games you need to have.
I don't like the Premier League being broken. I don't know about you boys. It felt like this weekend. Yeah, United won, Chelsea's the last minute winner, Liverpool wins, City win. You're like, okay, next week's going to be got to wait 2 weeks now. I hate it. It's annoying, man. It's annoying. Listen, though, I want to thank everyone who has tuned into the show. Jords, always a pleasure. KJ, the exact same. This is going to redirect you. If you're going to want to go wind up with Sam, he's live now on his channel. So go and wind him up. Full of Liverpool fans, Liverpool show. So go and banter him. We're back at 6 p.m. for 6-sided. We've got some big fiction or fact questions on that show. So you'll want to be there for that debate. Until next time, people, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we're going to see you all again very, very soon. Peace.